What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and we need to talk about ATER stock, Aterian Inc., because this stock has been taking a bit of a dip, and there's some very scary warning signs that I've noticed with it. So let's take a look at the chart, and you can see that on the day, we actually have been sinking quite a bit. We're down over 5%. And just yesterday, this stock was bouncing off of a key resistance level or a key support level of $10, which has now acted as a resistance level. You can see twice in the pre-market, we tried to hit $10 and break through. And then in very early morning trading, we tried to break through $10 and were unable to sustain a hold above that price and have since been sinking into the mid to low nines. Now, what's been going on with this stock over the past couple of days, if you look, is it has been pumping up due to a short squeeze. We were at $3 beforehand and actually made it up all the way to 1993 before hitting this $20 resistance level that we identified quite a while ago as a pretty important both support and resistance level. We've acted on it both as support over here and resistance over here. So we knew that $20 was likely going to be a big hurdle to get over, and we were unable to get over it. This pump up, we ended up sinking down. Now we're hitting 10, which has acted as a resistance in the past a couple of times and even a support over here. So we're going to see if this ends up holding throughout the day. If we end up breaking and staying below 10, that would be very bad news for Aterian. And I do think that this is a pretty important level. Now, it's not to say that it's the end-all be-all of this stock, right? If we end up breaking below 10, in my opinion, it's not very good for us, but it's not necessarily the end of the short squeeze. Obviously, these patterns and these support and resistance levels aren't perfect all of the time. Sometimes you can break a bit below one and then end up coming back. But if we do continue to dump like this, then it seems less and less likely, in my opinion, that we're going to be able to see a short squeeze. Now, let's take a look at the Ortex short data that we have. You can see that we are up 4.91%. More people are shorting this stock today, and we're actually sitting around 64% short interest as a percentage of the free float. Now, this is very high, and that actually is what ended up leading to this little short squeeze that we had right here. You can see on this chart, this yellow line is the short interest as a percentage of the free float, and it's overlaid against the price. And we were rising and rising and rising as Aterian's price was rising, right? Aterian was going up. ATER was pumping and pumping. More people were shorting it, expecting it to crash. And actually, it ended up rising so much that some of these shorts had to exit their positions and flee essentially from this stock because they were down so much money. And that's what caused this massive pump up in price, where we were looking at gains of over 50% on the day. Now, of course, the next day, after some shorts had fled, more people came in and began shorting this thing, and that's continuing even today, as you can see, and that's really what's pushing us down. More institutions and shorts are coming in, pushing this thing down, hoping to make a big profit because they saw that it was down at $3, and they're hoping to push it down at least not necessarily to 3, but significantly from where it currently is, around $10. Now, there is some kind of worrying news, not necessarily news, but a worrying thing that I've seen on Google Trends. This is tracking ATER and Google Trends, and you can see that we have had these lowering highs of interest in ATER each day. This is a chart of the past 7 days, and we're essentially just having lower lows, or lower highs, and lower lows also, of people searching for ATER, and that's not good because when you have a stock like this, that is a short squeeze, it's mostly driven by retail investment, especially when the market cap is so low. See, the market cap of this is $350 million, and that's after it's already ended up pumping up quite a bit, right? We were at $3 beforehand, so it would have been about $100-something million market cap back then. So a lot of retail is likely driving this. Obviously, there could be some whales buying into it, trying to squeeze out some institutions, but that's not always the case. And when you do see something like this on Google Trends where this stock is becoming less and less popular, that is very worrying. I would actually like to be seeing this chart slowly moving up. And just because it has moved down doesn't mean it won't begin to move up again, because these kinds of things ebb and flow, right? As you saw, we pumped up quite a bit, and now we're getting pushed down as shorts take control, as the bears take control. And it's very possible that sometime in the near future, this thing will be shorted a little bit too much, which you can see it kind of is already, right? We have a 64% of the free float has been shorted. Now, as it gets shorted more and more, as shorts get greedier and greedier, it's very likely that some people will take interest in this again, begin searching for it, begin trying to pump it up, and that we could see another rally. Now, where that will happen, I'm not sure. $10 was our best bet, in my opinion, because it had acted as a support and resistance, and it did work for us for a couple of days, or for a couple of hours at least. Actually, a couple of days. Yeah, you can see that not just yesterday did it work for us, but even the day before, $10 ended up holding us. Now, what's very scary is that we're breaking through. And now that we've broken through that, there isn't necessarily a clear point at which you could say we would see another support level for this thing. So there's no real telling how far it could drop. And that's what I don't like about this situation. When I do take trades on stocks like these, I like to have a clear stop loss in place. And I don't necessarily want to just place it randomly and say, oh, I'll sell out at 7. Just randomly. Now, it may end up that after doing some additional technical analysis, you could identify 7 as a good area where we're likely to bounce off of or not reach in the first place. And, if you want to take the $2 risk that it goes from 9 to 7 on the chance that it might end up boosting back up all the way to 20 or above, that might be a good trade for you. Now, I don't necessarily want to take that trade because 10 was really where I identified us as having a strong level of support. And we have broken through that, and now it's acting as resistance, which is very bearish in my opinion. So I am going to be waiting to see what happens with the stock. I'm going to be keeping a somewhat close eye on it, and hopefully we'll see this thing break up above 10 again, and that would actually be a signal to me if we saw a sustained hold above 10, not just a little blip like we did earlier this morning where we were above it for a bar and a half. Not just that. I would want to see a sustained hold ending the day above 10, and potentially even the next day I would want to be waiting as well just to see what ends up happening in the after hours, because that is a time. After hours are often when stocks can be more easily manipulated by institutions, in my opinion, at least, because a lot of retail traders aren't trading in after hours. They're not trading in pre-market, and institutions know how to buy and sell these things using their algorithms to kind of push the price in one direction or the other. And obviously, some institutions are fighting against each other, so it's not just a perfect thing where the stock can just be pushed down to infinity, to an infinitely low price, because it will end up getting boosted by some institutions or organizations at the very least who do have long positions in it. Obviously, these institutions sometimes end up trying to squeeze each other out of these plays. So that is something that this stock has going for it. It is a low market cap, I will say, at 350 million. It's not the lowest short squeeze play that we've seen. So there is potential for it, I think, and we'll just have to keep a close eye on it. But I do not currently have a position and do not intend on taking one at these levels right here. I think that I would rather wait for a more serious looking potential for this thing to actually run up, because I just don't know if below 10 is the place that I want to get in. Obviously, there's greater reward the cheaper you get in. If you really want to pick the bottom of this thing, you could end up making quite a bit of money, but I think it's very tough to pick the exact bottom of a stock. It's tough to say when it will bottom out. And on this pump down, at least, let's find a good chart for it. It looks like we are continuing to move down and will likely continue to move down. That's not to say we won't pump up to even higher highs in the future, but that's just what I'm thinking at the moment. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, that's all I really have for you. So all that I ask is that you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Other than that, have a great day, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.